You know, I kind of dig it now, because it's like this is just like a Jeep thing. Yes, V6 has some pretty good grunt. I mean, it gets up and it... Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we are going to be going over a 2022 Jeep Gladiator High Altitude. This is basically the full-blown luxury Gladiator. First and foremost, so a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Jeep Chrysler here in Provo for giving me some time with this Gladiator. Check out their inventory in the description down below. Let's hop right into the video. So under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 17 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 285 horsepower and then 260 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the High Altitude. I took off as much snow as I could manage. Anyways, you've got these at the center of the hood. This is where you can lower down the windshield onto them, which is pretty cool. And then you guys can see just how cool this hydro blue looks. You've got the LED accent lights off to the side. This is also where the turn signal's integrated. And then you have the LED headlights. You've got the accent light that goes around them. Jeep's signature front grille with the camera there in the center. And then the bumper down below has been body painted. And then you can see you've got the fog lights on top of that. You do have the tow hooks there on top of all of that. And yeah, it definitely looks really unique. Coming on the side here, we've got two 75mm tires wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And you can see the wheels are all blacked out, which contrasts the hydro blue with this Gladiator pretty well. And then you guys can see the front suspension, at least part of it, and you can kind of see a little bit better here through that area. Anyways, we've got the Jeep logo there on the front. We've got this accent piece off to the side, and then notice it's still trail rated, even though this is the luxury version. We do have the side steps there, all covered in snow, but you guys can see there with the full side view. And then here's a quick look at everything in the rear. You guys can see the exhaust right there and a little bit with the shocks and everything. And also I love how the fender flares on the top have been body painted, because it makes it look a whole lot nicer. Now here's a key fob for the Gladiator. We've got the Jeep logo there on the back. You've got the unlock, the lock, and then the remote start. Now we're going to unlock it so we can pop here into the bed area. It does slow lower down. Got it full of snow right now. You guys can see this has liner already from the factory. We do have the LED bed lights as well. And I mean, storage space is pretty good. I mean, this is supposed to be like a mid-sized truck, and yeah, solid with that. And then lifting up the tailgate, it's super light. I mean, I did that with 2 fingers. Now you guys can see you've got the LED taillights here in the rear, parking sensors down below, and then the backup camera below the Jeep logo. And well, that's all for the rear. Now this is the fun part. So you guys can see we've got the padding here with the stitching that goes throughout, and we have the luxury seats. You've got the leather with the quilted design here on the side, which looks really cool. You've got the vents here in the center. You've got the window controls, USBs, full power outlet. We've got a couple cup holders down below that, and then this kind of pulls down to be another little cup holder. You got to pull the strap hard enough. There you go. Armrest, cup holder setup, and well, that's all for the rear. So see ya. So here's the door panel at the front. You guys can see the padding here with the contrasted stitching, and then you guys can see the mirrors here. And let's see if they have a blind spot or not. We got to take off the snow. Yes, they do have blind spot monitoring, so that's another big plus. You've got the mirror adjustment right there, the door lock and unlock, and then cargo net down below. And then here are the seats at the front. So you can see the leather, and then you can see the quilted design here on that portion of the seat, and then the adjustments here on the side. Pedal layout just down below. We've got our light control here with the fog lights, and then you guys can see here for the cargo light on top of that. And well, that's all for that. So a couple mistakes I made. This is not the cargo light, that's for the LED bed lights. And also I forgot to show you guys the payload sticker. 883 pounds for the payload. And sorry about that. Again, bed lights, not cargo light. This doesn't even have a cargo light. What am I thinking? So here's our steering wheel in the Gladiator. You've got really nice leather all around. And then again, you've got that contrasted stitching there in the center. We have our cruise control, radio controls here on the back. Controls here for the center stack, voice commands and phone controls. We have our turn signal stock. We have our windshield wiper stock on the other side. And that's all for the steering wheel. Now here is the center gauge cluster. You've got the RPMs on the left side, on the right side you've got the speed, and then you've got these different menus that you can scroll through to give you different bits of information on the Gladiator, which is pretty cool to see. You guys can see the fuel economy, for example, with that. And well, that's all for that. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, we're going to pop it into reverse. So we've got a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. And then you guys can remember we also have that front camera with trajectory lines that also turn with the steering wheel, which is great for off-road use. And then you guys saw with the backup camera, you can zoom in there with the receiver hitch, which is great. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, response time is great. We've got heated seats and a heated steering wheel here for the front, which is fantastic. And then you guys can see the dual zone climate controls. But overall, the infotainment system is easy to use. Response time's great. It's got the off-road pages. And look at that stitching here on the dash. Living life of luxury. Now I've got our analog controls here for the radio and climate controls. It does have dual zone climate, heated seats, heated steering wheel here for the front passengers. I love how that is a little Jeep, and then also the recirculate button is also a little Jeep. Got your stability control, auto stop start, and then you can see the charging ports and all that fun stuff here. Window controls in the center. And we have our 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel auto, and then 4-wheel high, part-time, neutral, and then 4-wheel low. And then you have the shifter for that 8-speed automatic. And you guys can see the stitching throughout all of that. You've got the cup holders here with the key holder in the center. We have the Jeep center console, which has the double storage, and of course my jacket decided to get in the way. There's also a USB in there, pretty cool. And then we've got the Jeep glove box with the grab handle, and then you guys can see the padding and stitching here on the dash. This one does have the insulation here for the top, which I always recommend. And again, this is a hard top, so you can take off these two portions just with these little latches, and then the rest you have to use tools for. But yeah, and then also there's the mirror. So here's our window sticker. There's a ton of glare, so you guys probably won't be able to see it very well, but hopefully you guys can kind of see here with the options at least. It's not really popping through in there. But anyways, total MSRP, $59,050. And wait for it. Let's take it out and see how it drives. So let's talk about visibility before we set off. There's your visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors, which do have blind spot. And then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. Okay, so actually getting up and moving here with the Gladiator. What I want to talk about is the steering. It's kind of comical how light and floaty the steering rack is. It's always been something that's interesting to me, but you know, I kind of dig it now, because it's like this is just like a Jeep thing. Yes, V6 has some pretty good grunt. I mean, it gets up and it moves it. From a ride quality perspective, here's what I have to say is the Gladiator is actually somewhat refined. So the vehicle that I've been daily driving this week is a BMW X3, which is, you know, a little luxury SUV. So you guys got to remember, that's kind of what I'm popping from. And popping to this doesn't feel like it rides super rough or anything like that. That was something that Jeeps were kind of known for in the past, right? Is just being super rough and in your face, whereas these new Jeeps, almost like luxury vehicles. And that's kind of again what this high altitude package is about. Is it's like, hey, I want a Jeep, but I want a Jeep that's a daily driver, that is, you know, again, kind of like a luxury Jeep. And this definitely does it from a ride quality perspective. The seats, they feel the same as the seats you get in like a loaded up Rubicon, so that is unchanged. And so they're like, the comfort's the same, the firmness, all that kind of stuff. So if you like Rubicon seats, you like the seats in these. They just look more luxury. They don't necessarily feel any different. But yeah, I mean, overall, this, again, it's just like any other Jeep. You can take the top off, you can take the doors off and all that kind of stuff, but it's kind of leading more towards the daily driver luxury side, which I'm completely okay with, because, you know, they're Jeep's trying to cover all the markets, right? They're trying to, right, with the Rubicons, they try to cover the hardcore off-road scene, and then with something like this, they try to cover the hardcore mall crawler scene, which, you know what, as funny as it sounds, it's okay, and that's kind of how it goes. So yeah, let's get into signing things up and I guess give this Gladiator a score. So first off, exterior wise, I think this just pops with the hydro blue. Now, I've never really been a fan of the body painted bumpers, but I know a lot of people really like that. There's people that pay big money to make it so their Jeep bumpers are all body painted, and the fender flare, like, I like when the fender flares are body painted and then when the top is body painted, but for some reason the bumpers, I like those when they're like blacked out. That's just my personal preference. But again, I understand a lot of people pay big money to get body painted bumpers, so it's cool to have these from the factory. And then yeah, overall it's a good looking vehicle. Interior wise, you're basically getting a fully loaded Rubicon interior here, just with the cool quilted design, so it's a little bit different. But again, if you're used to like the Rubicon interior, that's pretty much what they're giving you here with the high altitude from an interior perspective. And then from a ride quality perspective, it drives really smooth. It's a great, comfortable daily driver. It's really good. It's better than I remembered, actually. And so if you're kind of, again, you want the Jeep look, right? But you're not going to ever off-road it, and you're just going to daily drive it, this high altitude package is a great route to go. And I guess for an overall score, you guys know I lean more towards the off-road side of things. So I'm going to try to put that off to the side a little bit to give this a proper score. I'd have to say, for what this is, it looks cool. It's functional from a practicality standpoint. And yeah, so it's, you know, for what it is, it's actually reasonably priced. So I'll give this like an 8.5. No, an 8. I'd say an 8. We'll give this an 8 out of 10. You guys know Rubicon Extreme Recon. Those are the ones that are going to get a bigger score for me, but it's because I like off-roading. Now that's going to sum things up for our video on this 2022 Jeep Gladiator High Altitude. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Schmiller Jeep Chrysler here in Provo for giving me some time with the Gladiator. Check out their inventory in the description down below. I'll see all of you in the next video.